Tonight we are tracking high-stakes diplomacy that could reshape global trade, deadly floods sweeping across Vietnam, a historic first for India's president, and later a deep dive into whether the fragile Gaza ceasefire can survive Israel's latest airstrikes. Welcome to World in Focus, and here are the top headlines of the day. President Donald Trump has said he's confident of reaching a deal with China's President Xi Jinping when the two meet on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Forum. After years of trade tensions, Trump hinted that he is willing to scale back tariffs on Chinese imports if Beijing agrees to curb exports of chemicals used to make fentanyl, the synthetic opioid fueling an addiction crisis across America.
I'll be meeting with President Xi the day after tomorrow. I'm going to a wonderful place where I think a lot of you may be going. We're going to be meeting tomorrow at a very fantastic meeting. Who's going tomorrow? Is anybody going that I know in this room? I think a lot. Tim, are you going? Maybe? You're not. You mean you came here for this?
Analysts say the proposed exchange could mark the first major thaw in US-China trade relations since tariffs were reintroduced earlier this year. But with both sides under pressure at home, negotiators warn that optimism doesn't always translate into action. Next to Vietnam, where torrential rains have triggered deadly floods across central provinces. At least 9 people have been killed and 5 are missing as rivers burst their banks and landslides swept through homes and roads. The worst hit areas include popular tourist destinations like Hue, Da Nang and Hoi An, where rescue teams have been working round the clock to reach stranded residents. Meanwhile, in India, President Droupadi Murmu has made history, becoming the first Indian president to fly in both a Sukhoi and a Rafale fighter jet. The sortie took place over Ambala Air Force Station in Haryana, with Air Force calling it a moment of pride for the nation. The president's flight symbolizes not just the growing strength of India's air power, but also the progress of women in leadership and defense. And now to our deep dive tonight. The Gaza ceasefire, a fragile truce once hailed as a breakthrough, now hanging by a thread. Israel has launched a new wave of airstrikes on Gaza, raising fears that the US-brokered ceasefire could collapse. Officials in Gaza say at least 26 people were killed in overnight attacks that struck Gaza City, Khan Yunis and the Burej refugee camp. Among the dead, several women and children. Israel says the airstrikes were in response to what it calls repeated ceasefire violations by Hamas, including sniper and RPG fire on its troops near Rafah. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered what he described as immediate, powerful strikes, accusing Hamas of breaking the truce. But Hamas denies the allegations, calling the air raids a blatant violation of the agreement and urging international mediators to step in. Eyewitnesses report entire buildings flattened overnight, with hospitals overwhelmed by the wounded. The ceasefire, brokered by Washington and backed by Egypt and Qatar, began on October 10 after 2 years of near-continuous war. It was meant to include 3 key stages: ending hostilities, returning hostages, and laying the groundwork for Gaza's demilitarization. But from the start, it's been fragile, shaken by repeated clashes and deep mistrust. Tensions escalated further this week when Israel accused Hamas of staging the discovery of a hostage's remains. The Israeli military released video footage allegedly showing militants exhuming and reburying the body to present it as newly recovered. Hamas denied the claim, but the dispute has delayed other body transfers and deepened distrust between the two sides. President Donald Trump, who helped broker the truce, insists it remains intact, saying Israel has the right to hit back when attacked, but that nothing will jeopardize the peace process. His administration has invested heavily in the ceasefire as part of his broader strategy to stabilize the region and contain Iran's influence. In Cairo, Egyptian mediators are scrambling to keep the deal alive. Officials there say both sides have violated the agreement in small ways, but not yet beyond repair. Talks are now focused on restoring calm and ensuring the transfer of hostages and humanitarian aid continues. For families in Gaza and for negotiators in Washington, Jerusalem and Cairo, the question tonight is simple. How many more violations can this truce withstand before it shatters completely? So that's all in World in Focus for today. Follow the Finance 360 for more.